What's up, space pirates? This is your Admiral, the ever-charming Dr. Disaster, and in a little less than 2 months, the next Sweet Baby Inc. game is going to be released. South of Midnight is coming out, and the general enthusiasm level of gamers is pretty easy to gauge.
Whoop-de-doo! Nobody cares.
In order to drum up interest in this clunky-looking game, the developers just permitted a bunch of game journalists and YouTubers to release early previews, and I'll say this, the sound of all the super excited gamers just clamoring to play this game were hard to hear over the overwhelming sound of the crickets. Nobody cares about this game. South of Midnight failed to generate interest because they are trying to sell the game as having a strong, black, female character as if that is somehow special and unique. But by today's standards, this sort of character design is so commonplace and overdone that it simply doesn't resonate with anyone. Most gamers these days see a thumbnail like this and they just keep on scrolling. The views on these early review videos were absolutely pitiful, to the point that the developer, Compulsion Games, should probably be worrying.
What am I gonna do?
Already the excuses are pouring in from the people who just want to be seen protecting the game at all costs so that they can keep getting early access from these game studios. This YouTuber here, as an example, is out playing the sad violin, claiming that the comment section in the previews for this game are inundated with racism, a term that has been so overused it practically has zero meaning at this stage. But after pointing out that actually the most blatant racism surrounding this game comes from the community manager, who said in an interview some time ago that white male gamers were a mistake, but after pointing out that this is where the blatant racism comes from in this game, the dude was stuck and didn't have a very good vector for defense, because defending this game, at least in this way, earns you a badge of dishonor. Alright me hearties, make sure you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and also, don't forget to follow me over on X, where my handle is Dr. Disaster 1. But anyhow, the early previews for this game were poorly received, or really, I guess you could say that they were hardly received at all, because virtually nobody was watching them. It just isn't an appealing game on any level. The combat looks clunky and bad. The character design is the prototypical, homely female character that we have seen thousands of times in the past few years. The stop-motion styled animation requires a very specific sort of person to appreciate. Hell, even the people who don't like this game and don't want it to do well, they aren't coming out to watch these videos because we have seen this story play out so many times that it is predictable as the sunrise by now. A game releases with an unappealing girl boss main character, the game flops, the media and shills of the game blame the gamers for not buying it. We have seen this time and time again. But yeah, this game just isn't generating a whole lot of interest. I imagine that it will do better than a lot of the other Sweet Baby Inc. games. As an example, Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn, which features another of these strong and empowered whammon characters that gamers are freaking sick of. But that game couldn't even hit 700 concurrent players at its max on Steam. I imagine South of Midnight will do better than that, but it won't be that much better either. Anyhow, let's look at the views on these previews. YouTuber Mr. Matty Plays was among the people who got early access to this, and if you look here, his video on this game, after just about a full day, is sitting at about 36,000 views. And if you compare it to his other videos that have early previews of games, you can see that there is simply no comparison. He usually gets at least 100,000 views on videos like this one, and obviously, this video featuring South of Midnight is well below the average. Now, I know there will be people out there saying that it's only been one day and you have to give it time, but what you need to understand is that in this business, the vast bulk of a video's views happen in the first 24 hours. So no, the chances of South of Midnight catching up to its contemporaries is pretty much nada. But let's look at another of these early reviewers. IGN put out this video here covering South of Midnight, and they've only managed 27,000 views after nearly a full day. And this style of video, where they call it the final preview for a game, it usually nets a lot more views, at least if it features a game that people actually care about. The Monster Hunter Wilds final preview got 488,000 views. The Dune Awakening final preview got 118,000 views. Assassin's Creed Shadows got 246,000 views. Civilization 7 got 646,000 views. There is simply no comparison for South of Midnight. There were, of course, plenty of other previews on this game where the viewership was way down compared to its contemporaries, but you get the picture. The game simply hasn't got a hook to draw gamers in. But as I said earlier, the excuses are starting to pour in. This reviewer here says that the game's previews are overwhelmingly positive or optimistic, which is true, but the replies from people that haven't played are either dismissive, negative, or outright racist. And I scoured the comments in this guy's video, and the worst example of racism, it's not really racism, but the closest example I could find to racism was this person here saying, "Sorry, micro woke. Your games are just a bunch of DEI woke mess garbage. Done with this brand. No point on buying the next X fail. We'll just stick with Nintendo and retro." And then this reviewer responds by saying, "Intolerance sucks." And you know, I gotta say, I think that what sucks even more than that is preachy, cloying cliches, which are obviously disingenuous because over on X, where this fella has much less control over the discourse, as soon as Smash JT dropped this little nugget on him here, pointing out the blatant racism of the game's community manager, this guy twisted himself in knots, trying to make it seem like that's what he was talking about, as if this example was included in his proclamation that the comments in these videos were full of racism. But if you read his post on X, that is categorically not what he was talking about. But in any event, it's really easy to see that this game is going to use the same tactics that the Access media always uses to defend games from gamers who are tired of the preachiness. But I don't mean to just pick on this one guy. As you can see here, there are others who already use the racism excuse for why people are disinterested in South of Midnight. Alyssa Mercanti is talking about the racist backlash in an article from a few months ago on the Rolling Stone. This will undoubtedly be the defense that is used to excuse the poor sales of this game when it drops, along with the fact that it's on Game Pass. But I'm gonna leave it there. Drop your mockery of this awful looking game with the clunky combat system and the uninspiring design into the comment section below, and we will talk there. Thanks for watching, me hearties. If you haven't already, your Admiral is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of booty.